First ever episode
of Lights Off Podcast.
of Lights Off Podcast, where we actually do most of the talking with the lights on.
Very good. Very good, Mike.
All right, what's the first question, dude? So we started a production company like a few years ago. Liam came back from school. We decided to make a film together. And in the process of making that film, we had to come up with like a production banner. So we came up with Lights Off Pictures. Nice.
And we also finished each other's
Sandwiches.
sentences.
Damn it, dude. We came up with Lights Off Pictures, made a few short horror films now that we've co-collaborated on.
Yeah, I want to ask about that.
Okay.
What was your experience in film before we collaborated on Ill-Omened?
Okay, so I started doing background, and by started doing background, I did it once, decided I hated it.
You got to get on set.
I was in university, and I was on Craigslist, actually. I shit you not. I was on Craigslist looking for stuff because I was just kind of, that's what I was doing.
That's where you go. Craigslist. If you're looking for like a wedding date or something, straight to Craigslist.
And then I saw a extra casting call for an untitled show, because I think a lot of the times they don't tell you like what the project is. They come up with like alias names. So they were calling it like Rocket Man or something. I remember this. But I remember I thought it was super cool. I didn't have a car at the time. I was living with Ryan. So I was like, hey, can I borrow your car and drive down to Toronto? Yeah, I submitted some pictures of myself, ended up driving down there, did background for The Handmaid's Tale. Hated it. It was just like, I mean, it was cool, but at like the later in the hour, it was my first time. I was like a pylon. I couldn't move, so I had to like go pee, and I couldn't. I had to hold, like, I was dehydrated. It was like we were in this crazy get up. It was cool to see like Elizabeth Moss and the other actors like doing their thing. So that was a cool experience. And then from there, I think I started taking acting classes in person, and then I moved to online, and it was like, I guess I should like actually try to act. So I started submitting to like a lot of student films, and this was during COVID, so a lot of Zoom auditions. Banged out a couple of those, and then
That's where you met Yusuf.
yeah, that's where I met Yusuf. What's up, Yusuf?
Yusuf directed the film that Mike and I wrote together, Ill-Omened, our first short horror film as a production company with Lights Off Pictures. So
in my basement,
just a little.
My mom's basement. Shout out, Mom.
Shout out, Mom.
Shout out your mom too. Both, actually, I won't opt their names, but
sorry, Nicole. No, I don't know if I've ever told you this either, but I had the same kind of thing where I think this was before I went to theater school in Los Angeles. I was also trying to figure out like how to get on set, like what do I do? At that time, I hadn't gone to theater school or anything. I was just working with Walter Elza at the Elza Acting Studio. So that was like my first class, and like my acting was awful. It was like it was like if a robot didn't have the hinges greased, you know? Like it was tough. And I just felt like if I just said the words, I was like, we're on track. I was like if I came there and memorized the lines and just said the words, I was like, oh yeah, baby, like this scene's gonna be nice. And then I would watch it back and be like, does this guy even move? Like there's no expression in my face. I was like, it's like a brick. It was like watching a brick try and talk. Anyway, I was looking to try and get on sets and stuff. It might have been Craigslist as well. I don't know if it was Craigslist or if it was what are the other sites?
Kijiji. eBay.
I think it was. I shit you not. I think it was like Kijiji.
Sudoku.
Sudoku. I think it was Sudoku that I found this job on, and I was just like, and I just submitted myself, and I was like, hey, like no resume, nothing. It was like, I was like, hey, I'm an actor. I want to be a part of this, and it was a short film filming in Toronto, and they were like, we're looking for zombies, and I was like, hell yeah, dude, I can be a zombie. Like, are you kidding me? All I gotta do is just walk around and. Like, I was like, you want a robot zombie? Like, that's what my acting level's at right now. But I was like, hell yeah, I can be a zombie. So I started talking to this guy, and it's like super sketchy. It's like trying to buy a couch on Facebook Marketplace. Like, it was just like weird communication. You know what I mean? Like 40, how about 20? And it was just like, okay, yeah, I'll come.
Yeah.
So I show up, and it's just like a park in like Scarborough. And he comes out of nowhere with like his pregnant wife and like two friends, and we're just sitting at a picnic table, and he's like, "Hey, my wife's gonna just toss some makeup on you now, and then we'll probably just throw you in the bushes if you can just like growl a bit and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Like I didn't know what they were going for or whatever, so I was like watching him just set up the DSLR, and I was like, or like like now at our stage when you see like when I see the tiny
The
camera,
small camera.
I'm out of there.
Liam only works with big cameras.
I only work with big cameras. When I come in there, I see a small camera. It's a no go. So I see him setting that up, and it's like my first experience. I was like, okay, this will be cool. And like even afterwards, I was like, it was sick to do. Like I thought it was really fun, and I didn't think anything of it because I didn't know anything.
Mhm.
But like looking back on it now, it's like kind of weird that I just like let this girl slap some makeup on me, and I was just like walking around as a zombie in a park for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then like no dialogue, nothing. They were just like just pop out from behind this tree, and like never seen the film, never got a cut of it,
Never spoke to them after that.
never spoke to him again. I stay off Sudoku now. I don't really go on Kijiji. But yeah, no, I'm curious. Like that yeah, I don't know. It's probably on like America's Funniest Home Videos or something. It's definitely not at festivals.
So how soon after that experience did you get into on screen? Your first on screen? Oh, that wasn't Il Al Mine. That you had like one before that, right? A student film.
Yes. So when I was in LA for theater school at Los Angeles City College,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to the Morgan Freeman Theater.
Shout out Morgan Freeman.
I was just also new to it, you know. Like I had seen theater productions. I had taken drama in high school, but I wasn't like sold on it in high school. I always just kind of thought it was a joke. I was like, this is an easy class that I can get through.
Mm-hmm.
Come to learn that I just really did enjoy it, but I guess in high school that's just us like hiding our masculinity, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like trying to be like,
Yeah, it's sports and
you
partying
know,
and girls and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not cool to be in theater.
You're not running lines with the boys.
Exactly.
You're running lines with the boys, but you're not running lines
Yeah.
with the boys.
Yeah, like if you show up to a party, you better shotgun a beer, not pop out a
Yeah.
monologue.
Pull up the script. All right, guys,
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
up on the table.
Yeah, yeah, hang on. I've been rehearsing this one all week. Like they're gonna be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But no, so I was just trying to get myself into classes there as well. There was a couple classes that I joined in Studio City that were I didn't have the money to like be in class.
Mm-hmm.
I was already in school all day anyway, so I was training. But I was like, I wanted to see what other ones were like, so I literally would audit like a class every week, like because the first class, like if you audit it, it's free, so you don't get to participate, but you get to watch it. So I'd literally just show up in Studio City, and I would just like drive to different classes and just audit it, and then next week I'd find another one, and then I'd go in and audit it and just watch it, and then that was kind of just how I got to see other performers and like what they were doing. And then the first gig for me was a background role as a bartender in a student pilot. I want to say it was UCLA. And it was the same thing. It was like out in Burbank, just at this house. I showed up and they were like, we were going to have you sitting on the couch, but you're kind of tall, so you're upgraded to bartender. And I was like, okay, this is sick. I was like, first day, upgraded, you know? So, no, but it was fun. Like, it was a good learning experience. Same thing as background. And then coming back here and learning a bit more and joining classes here and talking to you and talking to people that I know were in the industry now.
How soon after you came back from LA did you reach out to me, or did I reach out to you?
It was pretty like right away. I think I messaged you because I came back and just like had the bug.
Right.
And I messaged you probably within like 2-3 weeks of me being back, like permanently. Because I'd come back in like stints, but coming back permanently, yeah, it was like 2-3 weeks. I messaged you, and I was like, hey, like, I know you're doing a lot with film and social media and that, and I was like, you wanna, like, because we used to be very close. I was like, do you wanna meet up for coffee and just like talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And not like we didn't. I don't think we had the idea of like making something. We just wanted to meet up, and then we went to Silver Creek.
Yeah.
Walked around for like 2-3 hours, had a coffee and talked. We're like, why don't we like try and make something?
Yeah.
And then that's when we started getting the ideas going for
a horror
for Ill Omen.
Mm-hmm. Which we still haven't. It's not even publicly released yet. We could also just make that public, just so anyone who wants to watch it can go watch that.
Very true. I did have a question for you. Leading into that, when I did come back, before you were, was it before or during your getting into the industry that you were working on social media? Like who was it that you were working with, and what were you doing again, like with social media and that? Because that was before.
Yeah, that was before. So shout out Marco and Nico, the Even Out twins on YouTube. Yeah, so even before The Handmaid's Tale, I think in university I was making my own prank videos, and then I shit you not, I'm going back to Craigslist. I found them on Craigslist, and I'll leave it at that. But long story short, we linked up, or they found me. You know, it's whatever. We linked up, and they saw that I was making prank videos, and we started doing videos together. So we worked together for like, I don't know, 6 months to a year. Just I was making videos on their channel, and it was like a lot of fun, and we made some funny stuff, and they're still killing it now, which is dope. But yeah, that was before, and then maybe that was before The Handmaid's Tale. And then what was the question?
And at the time that you were working with them with YouTube and stuff, they were also like popping because they were also working with like Nelk for a while.
Yeah. They were. They started with Nelk originally, with Kyle, and then I think Jesse came in. I forget the order of like what people.
Because they were in the Coke prank, right?
Yeah. I think Nico was driving or Marco was driving, but yeah, they did the Coke prank, that's
a classic.
Which was crazy. Before we did our first film together, Il Almond, I had done a handful of short films, and you had done one before that. And then you kind of just went on a roll, like for a year, 2 years. Some would say the king of non-union / student films. Like you touched every corner you could. What was that like? How many short films have you done? And yeah, just talk about the kind of tear you went on for a while.
Thank you. I don't know the exact number.
Ballpark it.
25.
25?
In 3 years. So
that's a good chunk of work.
Yeah. I think I got partially lucky, but at the same time, it was just like I was just eager to do it. Once I got the opportunity from Jared Velkai at Centennial College with Midnight Hours, which was the very first one I did before we'd done Il Omen.
Yeah, running through the hallways with the ghost, yelling on the ground, screaming. I remember all that.
Yeah, that was like my first taste of like a lead character in like a short film, and I was like, I treated it like it was like There Will Be Blood, you know? Like I treated it like it was like a huge movie, because to me it was like
it was the biggest thing you'd ever done. It was the only thing you'd ever done.
It was the biggest thing and the only thing I had done. And I remember getting the script, and I was like, Mom, everybody, don't talk to me. I was like, I got work to do. I was like, this is a big opportunity for me. I'm getting $0. I have to drive to Toronto, and I'm filming at Centennial College, okay? So I was like, just cut me some slack.
I don't want dinner, Mom.
I don't want dinner right now. I'm working. I'm going method, okay? Leave the beans in the fridge. No, but it was like, I treated it like it was everything, and it was a big deal, and I think that opened up the doors, because it all like comes with connections, you know? And like he'd been doing some bigger things, and I didn't know anybody, and then I knew someone from him, or like just to have the lead role on like in a short film, like on your resume, just in general, seems like a small thing, but when like it's a student film or something, usually it's people that don't have experience at all. So when you get one of those, or you build up like a few films and they see that, like it just makes a difference. And then from there it was like Il Omen made a difference. that gave me more experience with creative control
Mm-hmm.
and us being able to. I was like, okay, I got a taste of what a film is, but now I get to have more control over it and more time to actually figure it out and settle in, which
Mm-hmm.
was super fun that we were able to do that. And then yeah, I went on to Ryerson, York, Humber, TMU. Um, yeah, I've worked with every school in Toronto, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool, and just made connections through that way. And it's the only way to learn, is just to do it.
Talk about going to New York on your own dime too.
New York.
Yeah, talk about New York. What was
Okay,
that
so
like?
that was that early this year?
Mm-hmm.
Early this year. So I'd found this casting call on Backstage with the New York Film Academy,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a skateboarding film. And I used to skateboard, so I was like, this is a cool opportunity. I wanted to kind of like broaden my horizon with not only the things that I'm doing in a film, but also just like the area and being the New York Film Academy. I was like, these guys got to know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've kind of maxed out on schools here in Toronto, so I might as well give New York a try. And it was a self tape audition through Backstage. Waited about 3 months, got a response back for a callback. Completely forgot that I'd auditioned for the thing. Like I'd always just move right past it. Did the callback. Waited about another month or two. I think it was like at least a 5 month process before I got the okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gave me the role. And the whole time he's talking to me, he's like, so we're going to do rehearsal here. We're going to do this and this. And like, he's like, whereabouts are you at? And I was like, don't worry about it. Like, wherever you need me to be, like, you need me to be at New York Film Academy on Thursday, I'll be there. I'm just down in I'm up in the Upper West Side. I'm
Yeah.
kind of just outside of Times Square. Like, don't even worry about it. I
Yeah,
was
not
like,
an 8 hour drive away.
I'll be there. I was like, I'm not in Toronto. I was like, I'm in New York. I'll be there. And it was just like, because I was just like, I need to find something new. I need to get outside of here and then make connections there,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I've built up all the connections here in Toronto for the most part. I was like, I need to try that. And then, yeah, it wasn't until the second day on set I was like, hey, like, I'm from Toronto, like I'd got my own hotel in Nyack, just outside of the city, so that I could drive in. It was a bit cheaper, and got it for 6 nights. Filmed 4. Got to spend a little bit of time in New York, and you gotta lie, You gotta. You don't have to lie.
I don't know if that's the lesson. Yeah.
You don't. You don't have to lie, but you gotta. If you want it, you gotta.
Yeah, do what
You
it
gotta
takes
do it.
to. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on. I want to touch on Voodoo.
Mm.
Voodoo is our second film with Lights Off Pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know the story of how it came about, writing wise and story wise. Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about that?
So Liam and I were working on a feature film, a horror film. So we were developing a script for, I don't know how many months. It was several months.
Mm.
We would get together every morning on Zoom and bang out some pages. And I think we got to like halfway through the first draft, and we were in one of our writing sessions. We were actually in person. We were at a park, and then we switched locations. And we were watching movie trailers for inspiration, just to try to get some juices flowing. I think it was a dull day. We were kind of like stuck in the story. Um, and yeah, watching one of these trailers, like I just saw a quick shot of something that for some reason sparked a whole story. Like I saw some puppets or toys or something, and the whole story kind of came to me with these voodoo dolls. So voodoo's a story about a boy who comes across these ragged dolls at a garage sale, brings them home, and essentially chaos ensues throughout the house. And a lot of like horrible stuff happens because of these dolls that he brings home, which are voodoo dolls. Um, yeah, I think I pitched you the idea right there, and we were both kind of like fired up about it. And I went home, I wrote it. I was like, "Do you want to direct it?"
But you wrote it like fast.
Yeah.
Fast. Like I remember, like what I remember is we left the movies. We were talking about that shot, and we were like drooling over it. We were
Yeah,
like, "This
yeah,
is gonna be the sickest shot ever."
yeah. It's like a drop down shot through the ceiling into like the main
Yeah,
floor.
yeah, like from upstairs to downstairs, showing what's going on upstairs to downstairs, like in the single shot.
Mm-hmm.
And you just built it from there, and you were like, no, like I like this, I want to go on this, we'll get the story
Mm-hmm.
together and we'll see what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember waking up in the morning and you were like, here's the script, and I was like there ain't no way. I was like, there's no way, because you did write it.
Yeah.
You wrote a rough draft like that night.
Yeah.
And it was like what, 10 pages, 8 pages,
8 pages. Yeah.
8 pages.
Yeah.
And you were like, what do you think? And it was like, I mean, you did tweaks after, of course, but like it was like solid right away. And I was like, okay, like
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was like, this guy wants to do this.
Yeah. And I asked you if you were down to direct it, and you were like, you hadn't directed anything before, but you were like, hell yeah. And then from there we were off to the races. I mean, pretty much committed the next like 2-3 months to like pre-production, went heavy, and it was my first time like attacking things as a producer. So everything from gathering the crew to location scouting, we did the casting. It was like the whole thing. It was, and yeah, when we got to set, we had 2 days. We rented a house, shot it for 2 days, had like a casting crew of 10 to 13 people. I forget how many people.
I think it was probably a bit more, because we had like BTS, we had Amanda.
Yeah, shout out Amanda.
Yeah, I want to say maybe like 15.
Shout out the whole casting crew. We had a casting crew of about 13 people, and none of them had really known each other before. So their first time meeting, for the most part, was on set, and they all gelled perfectly. And what was super dope also is one of the girls we casted, her mother is a producer and screenwriter in Hollywood, and she came to set with her daughter.
Writer of The Room.
Writer of The Room.
Writer of Wander.
Those were the two that have been like adapted into screenplays, and then she's written several. Yeah,
Florence Pugh.
Yeah, Brie Larson, Florence Pugh, and she's written several other novels as well. So it was super cool to have her on set. I remember I watched BTS footage of her on the set of The Room, like just kind of behind the monitors and like seeing how everything is going. And for those of you who don't know, The Room's like an acclaimed, like an award-winning or award-nominated. It's like a multi-Academy Award nominated film with starring Brie Larson.
I believe Brie Larson won Best Actor.
Yes.
For The Room.
Nominated or won?
Room.
Yeah.
Not
Room.
just
yeah,
Room.
Yeah.
I believe she won Best Actress.
Yeah. So the movie was, the novel was a huge success. The movie was a success.
Yeah. Una, who played Harper in the film, who is Emma's daughter, was incredible. Like her audition tape blew both of like you and me away. Like we watched it and we were like the things that you gave her a little bit of room to improv.
Yeah.
Which got written in.
Yeah. So because of the age demographic of that character was like a teenage girl. So we got the most auditions for that because there's a lot more teenage girls who want to act than like 40 to 50-year-old men, let's say.
And not all of them we could watch, like north of 500.
Yeah, we got a ton of definitely.
I swear. I swear.
I was like, wait, 500? It was probably at least 100.
I swear. No, because we had Backstage on Worldwide.
Oh, true. Okay,
I still have 382 unopened auditions.
Okay, it might have been 500 auditions for this role.
North of 500.
Dude, I think we were at 1,000 auditions for this role. But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, and like there was obviously a lot of great auditions, but we saw this one, and in the instructions, I offered some room for improv. Actually, maybe she auditioned first, and I asked her to do some improv, and she did some improv in one of the self tapes, and I remember sitting there and like I felt it, and I was like, wow, that was like I was kind of touched by it watching it. I was like, oh, that was really good. And it was so good that I wrote part of it in the script, and I think it plays really well in the story. But yeah, back to the...
Definitely. And no, just a note on that, like she is incredibly talented, and it was funny to see her with Emma on set.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly Emma has has been around the industry
Yeah.
and understands it. But it was just super cool to see Una come in and want to
Do her own thing.
do her own
Be her
thing,
own
own
actress.
be
Yeah.
her own actress, like own her own performance, and
Yeah.
it was just like a typical like mother daughter, like I
Yeah.
got this,
I
okay, I
got this.
got
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
like, no, it was cool to see, and she crushed it, and
Yeah. She did crush
it
it.
was yeah fantastic.
And yeah, I mean, on the topic of voodoo, so we had a really successful 2 day shoot, and post production was lengthy. You know, a lot of people working for little to no budget.
Mm-hmm.
So again, shout out to everyone who helped on the project, and we got it into festivals. We submitted it to 17 festivals. Spent about $1,000 in submission fees. Um,
And the three that it premiered already.
yeah, so we've screened at three. We screened at the Toronto Independent Film Festival, TIFF, not to be confused with TIFF. um, we screened at the Toronto Independent Film Festival. We screened at the Toronto Shorts International Film Festival, and we screened at the Chicago Horror Film
Fest.
Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got into those three, which was super dope. And there's still some festivals. There's still some festival dates rolling out, so we're gonna wait to see if we get into those. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like our mindset was like, if we can get into one of these, and to get into two in Toronto where we could like attend them was
Mm-hmm.
a super cool experience.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them coincided with like Toronto International Film Festival. They were like side by side, so to go from our festival to like go see TIFF and see like where things could go and could be, and seeing like the stars there and
Yeah.
screenings there is like super cool. What was it like directing for the first time, coming from being an actor and
I'm a control freak, like when it
right?
comes to like my creativity and stuff like that. So it's obviously very stressful. Like when I'm acting, I get to I get like I'm a piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I get to do my job and like play my character, but it has to match what the director wants. You know what I mean? It's the
Mm-hmm.
director's vision, and sometimes you build a character or see something a different way and you don't gel.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was happy to direct and I was eager to do it because I really wanted to have more creative control, but at the same time I also wanted to honor your vision
Mm-hmm.
as the writer.
Yeah,
So
we got into a few tiffs when we were recording or when we were filming like a
yeah,
couple. There was like a few. There was like two things I think.
but it's also like it's a full group of people that you don't know.
Yeah.
You bring them all in together.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own idea of what it's gonna be,
Yeah.
and it's never gonna match. You know,
Yeah.
like you're never gonna have 15 people walk in the room and be like, "Oh yeah, I figured we'd start here."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like no, like it's always gonna be completely different. And being a director, all you got to do is just solve problems quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is, and it's stressful when your mind's running like 24/7 and nobody's kind of on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So I did feel like we found a bit of a rhythm throughout the day as we were going, and we kept it very chill and tried to enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely a different experience
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
To be honest, like just coming in, having written it and producing it, it was a treat for me because the pressure was like mostly on me, like in pre-production to make sure like all the pizza was in place. Yeah, the pizza was in place, but all the pieces of the puzzle were in place. But like I almost came in with like my shoulders lowered and a bit relaxed because I knew I was gonna get to watch it happen,
Mm-hmm.
and like everything was put in place so that if I was there or not, like the thing was getting done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was like excited to. I think I came in like when your stress peaked, like mine dropped down, and I just got to like watch everything. Like obviously, like I was supporting people and like and doing different things and helping out, but it was really cool just to like watch everything happen and to like watch you do your thing too. Like you really came into it like with even though you might have been stressed, like with like confidence and like a swagger and like a creative vision. You and like the DP Ozzy worked like really well together. So
I appreciate
it was
that.
really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even though it was my first time, I'd still wanted to like do it justice for
Mm-hmm.
you and for everybody. And I think like one of the biggest problems too was just like you think you have all this creative control, and I'd never gotten to see the space, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
like even when I had shortlisted and like had everything in my head,
Mm-hmm.
changed like on the day because it just logistically wasn't possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was just another like roadblock too. Was just like parting parting from my vision, you know? Like I think
Mm-hmm.
I had troubles with that. I was like, no, like the dining room scene has to happen here because this is what I was thinking about when I was writing the shot list at home.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I remember you and the DP discussing like having to move like a location because of the lighting or something like that.
Yeah, and it was just like you run into those problems, but like it worked out. I think it looks great and probably worked better. But
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah, sometimes just like you when you're a director, you got a little bit too much ego.
You
You
know,
know?
speaking of like, you go back to what I was saying about how like, I mean, maybe we didn't have like in my mind there was like creative differences because you were doing it, but I was like, no, not this, this. Like I wrote it like this, I envisioned it like this, and you're doing it like this. Like the one thing that stood out to me was the drop down shot. Like I wrote her like when I was writing it, I pictured her not crying, and
Mm.
then you were like you really wanted her crying, and I was like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna play well, and I wasn't stoked about that when it was happening, but I was like, okay, whatever, like I'll
Because
let them do
you wanted her more
stoic.
like stone.
Yeah, like glossed over, possessed type of thing,
Gotcha.
and you saw it as more her like being,
I saw it more of her crying in that because she can't control her body. Like
yeah,
she can still control her emotions,
yeah,
but all the movements that she's doing is being controlled by
yeah,
the voodoo doll.
which makes sense. But I remember like watching it, like when the cuts were kind of like coming together, and I liked, like I really liked how it came out as far as like that shot, and I remember thinking I was like, I don't know how well it would have played if she wasn't like crying like that. So it just kind of goes to show like even when like just because you think you know what's best, you kind of do have to leave room for like interpretation and
Well, it's a like talking about creative control. Like it's you're never gonna have full creative control. It's a complete team sport. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? Like film is you can't do it on your own, no
mm-hmm,
matter what you do. Like a monologue you could,
mm-hmm.
but self tape no.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, like monologue's pretty much it. Maybe some training on your own, but
mm-hmm,
no, it's like if you want to make a film or make anything, you need it's every piece of the puzzle.
mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how to record sound.
Yeah,
I don't know how to. I'm not a cinematographer. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean? Like, so
It's true.
it's everybody working together to make sure that you can get the best possible product.
Would you do it again? Direct?
Direct,
Mm-hmm.
I would for sure, absolutely, but I feel like I'd like to get to another level with my acting before I take that on. Plus, I think I just need to. I don't know. Like I didn't go to directing school. You know, I wasn't in film school, so I think like I need to know like the difference between like the different shots with close-ups and mediums, wides, and
mm-hmm.
like all of that stuff. And like even when I was doing this one, I was like on Google like we're filming a scene at a dinner table. I was like, there's four of them and they're all sitting on different sides. Like how do I shoot this?
Yeah,
I was like, what is an axis and why
yeah,
can't I break it? I want to
yeah,
get over there. Like, what do you
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So, and it was just like, so learning that was super cool too because I was like, oh, you got to use inserts or like it's camera's got to be moving. You know, like there's ways to do it, but like it
Mm.
needs to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye when watching it, or else it just doesn't look great. Easy question, but just to let the audience know you a bit more.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite film of all time?
Um,
And why?
do I have a favorite film of all time? Okay, so surprisingly, I wouldn't say I have a favorite film of all time. I also wouldn't consider myself to be a huge film buff or film nerd, which might be kind of ironic because,
It could also
we're
be
talking
like
about
favorite
film.
film at like right
Yeah,
now,
I
or something that's just inspired you or you like to go back and watch.
yeah. So I would say I don't know if the camera could pick this up, but this
American
one
Honey.
right here, American Honey, is definitely one of my favorite films, which is why I put it up there. It is a Shia LaBeouf film from 2015 or 2016, I believe. Um,
Big fan of Shia LaBeouf.
Big fan of Shia LaBeouf. Personal issues aside, I think he's a phenomenal actor and someone that I took a lot of inspiration from when I was training
Well, I
in
personally
acting.
know Mia, so
Okay,
and
is this my question or your
and
question? Yeah,
and she's fantastic. So
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
they're just doing great over
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm sure she told you a lot about Shia.
yeah, we chatted about it all
Could you
the time.
imagine?
No, the only thing she did was offer me electrolytes, and we just say what's up, and
There's a lot of subtext there in
she
the electrolytes.
yeah, she was just very sweet. You know, like
Yeah,
whenever we were on set, she was very sweet. Like in the makeup trailer and stuff, very talkative, very smiley, very just nice, like charming. You
yeah.
know, and it's nice to be around. And I don't know, it's kind of like it's unarming. Like when you come in to like a set or something, and there's like such a big actress like Mia,
Yeah.
it's like disarming when she's just very nice and kind, and like you just feel relaxed. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like you don't really need to be intimidated, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So because was I intimidated when I sat down to get mutton chops put on my face, and I looked to my right and Mia Goth is sitting there, and then I looked to my left and Christoph Waltz is sitting there?
Yeah.
A little bit intimidated, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And they decided the makeup guy Jordan, great guy, he decided to give me the big chair.
Mm.
So you know what I mean? Like it now I'm like,
Were you there before them? Did
how
you
do
get
you
the big chair because you were there before them, or
no, I came in after.
oh, and they had the big chair reserved for you?
Well, Mia was always off to the right.
Right.
And usually they would keep the leads like in the big chairs. They had the two big chairs.
Mm.
For some reason Christoph was over here and he was getting his stuff done.
How tall is Christoph?
5'11", 5'10".
Oh, okay. So he's not short.
5'9",
Oh,
maybe a bit shorter.
so he's like kind of getting cute sized.
Yeah.
Because you're like a staggering like 6'2", right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's why the big chair is for you.
Hmm. And I had no reason being on that set. I just sat in that chair, turned, looked at Christoph Waltz, and said, "How do you like me now?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, "You get your toupee on, I'll get my mutton chops on, but I'm in the big chair, buddy. Okay, don't forget about it." And I looked at Mia. I said, "Am I right?" um, fun
Wait.
fact.
No, okay.
Okay, yeah, no, go.
Yeah. Um, what what did your mindset have to be like being on that set as far as you're working with your coworkers and co-stars essentially, you're like in close proximity, you're working together, but on the call sheet or in the grand scheme of things, you're quite far away, you know what I mean? So
I'm
I
down
guess like
there. I'm
explain
down
like
there, like almost page 2.
explain
If there was a page 2, I'd probably be. They just wrote my name in pen on the back.
you're
They
like, oh,
said
we got to get this guy
Liam
in.
is coming in today.
So you were in Frankenstein, directed by Guillermo
Del Toro.
del Toro, a film coming out in 2025, right?
Playing Harlander's footman,
Harlander's Footman. So
opposite of Christoph Waltz,
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, Mia Goth, Felix Kramer. Those were.
I remember when you told me, I was on one of my mom walks, right? And you told me that you told me a story about the day, like how you were
keep the legs hot.
how you were shoot. I keep this body trim. How you were shooting the shit with these guys, and I remember like I sallied, I celebrated like out loud. I was like, oh, that's so like I was
Yeah.
like I did like one of these and like yes,
Hmm.
and like because I just thought it was so cool, you know, you're right there. But like that being said, you're right. You're not background. You're not like thrown into the mud with like a bunch of random people. Like you're
I was a small character.
you were a small character, so you're working with these people. This went on for like what, a week or 2 weeks?
I think I was on set for. I think over the time it was close to 4 weeks, but
Close to 4
it wasn't
weeks.
every day. It was.
Okay.
It was probably like. It was probably like two. Yeah, it was probably like 13 to 14 days within the 4 weeks.
Right.
So it wasn't every day, but it was still.
And you've
Quite a
done a
bit
lot
of
of
time.
background stuff before, so you've been kind of like just literally number one out of 100 in the crowd of people.
Yeah.
This time you're like working with these people, you're talking, you're like
Mhm.
building relationships. If you saw them at Starbucks tomorrow, they'd probably recognize you. You could say hi. So what was that mindset like, where you're literally working with your idols, but it's like you still have like I don't want to speak for you, but like you have a long
So
way to
far to
go, but
go.
so far to go. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you're in close in proximity, but like on the pay scale,
That's a
you're
good
not
way
that
to.
close.
It's a good way to put it because I think I told you this. It was the first time in my life that I had imposter syndrome. It was the first time in my life that I felt like I was so close but so far. Like you're saying, it's just a weird feeling. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're. It got real when I was doing all of these fittings for this costume at the Netflix studio and meeting the people there, and I was probably in and out of there maybe 8 or 9 times before my first day of shooting, getting fitted for this costume. And it was like the same kind of feeling as like going back to my first short film. Like I wanted to show up and let them know that I belonged there, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I think I just had more confidence knowing that it was a single character.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I'd have a completely different demeanor if I came in and it was just like someone in the crowd.
Yeah.
I think I would have just been a bit more nonchalant, but because I felt like I was going to have a bigger opportunity, I wanted to take full advantage of it
Mm-hmm.
every day that I was there. And I wanted to watch. I was like, when am I going to get to watch these guys work again?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, but they made you feel like you were an A-list star no matter what. Like
Mm-hmm.
having your own trailer and like the crafts and like the way they would treat you, makeup and hair and like your trailers it's all together. So like you walk outside, you're talking to Guillermo, you're talking to Oscar Isaac, you're talking to Mia Goth, you're talking to Felix Kramer. Like they're just there passing you and talking to you, and they're so nice all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So you just have to like just like carry that confidence. And I just wanted to soak up as much like information as I could and try and build that relationship to try and it was like I was like I really want to try and capitalize on this opportunity that I have right now. Whether anything comes from it or not, I want to leave a good impression because you never know what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um,
And you felt like you left that good impression.
I felt like I did. I felt like I just wanted to give them their space because I understand what it's like to be working and on that big of a set with that big of like a role for them, it's probably a lot of workload, so they probably don't want to be in and out of mingling. But just small talk, before and after the day or whenever, like I would just be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I figured if I was just there, they would have to talk to me. you know?
Right.
So I was like, I'll just be a fly on the wall, but I'll just kind of hover
Right.
and I'll be here and I'm in the scenes with them and stuff. So I was like, can I do anything different to help your performance, to help you? Because like it wasn't about me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could just be a good teammate, like I think I would have like I'd done my job, you know. So I just wanted to be the best colleague possible and be as true to my character as I could, so that if it goes up on the big screen and someone's looking in the background, you know, the guy in the 1800s isn't like picking his nose or playing on his iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually living in the 1800s. So I don't know, just treat everything like it's the biggest role of your life because you never know what can come from it. And I think that's what directors and everybody are looking for, someone who's obsessed and is there to do the work.
Well said.
Why do you like American Honey so much, and why does it like resonate with you?
First of all, it's shot like a documentary, so the camera crew is kind of moving around with the actors. There's not a lot of like traditional setups. It's very run and gun, go go go, and it's just a really cool raw story about these kind of adolescents running around trying to sell magazines to make a couple bucks. It's a hustle, and it's just like a gritty good story. It's a really gritty good story. I love natural performances where it doesn't feel like the characters are acting. It's more there's just someone kind of capturing what they're doing, which I feel like isn't super common in a lot of things these days. There's a lot of like static setups and eye lines and performance, which is great, at times, but I just prefer, the gritty stuff. And I was using it as reference for like a pilot script I was writing, in like a similar tone. So I was referencing the movie a lot in my mind, and yeah, it's something that stuck with me, and I've only seen it like once or twice, but every time I like reminisce on movies I like or anything like that, like it always comes to mind, and it's just something that's kind of stuck with me, which is why it's right there, right behind me, looking over me, making sure I'm okay.
Yeah, that's very rare for like a set to be so free. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? With the camera following you, because
Mm-hmm.
film is so you got to stay in the box.
Yeah.
So it's cool when you can be more theatrical and the camera's got to find you.
Mm-hmm. I remember in some interviews I was watching, the director was saying that they would often get their lines the day of the shoot. So they would kind of be sleeping in these motels or hotels together, wake up and like, okay, here's your sides for the day.
Mm.
And it was just like that. So everyone had a quick moment to kind of go over their stuff, smack some breakfast, and then they're in their van and they're shooting, and it's just kind
Damn.
of like throwing your own stuff at it. So I think that would be a cool experience to be a part of as an actor. I would love to be part of something like that. Did you kiss Christoph Waltz on set? No.
I did.
You did? On
I
the cheek
did.
or on the forehead?
No, I had to right on the lips.
It was in the script.
Mm-hmm. It was weird though because when I was moving in to kiss him, he must have dropped something, and he turned around to pick it up. And then when I opened up my eyes, I was like, "Whoa," you know. So I don't want to be a kiss ass or anything. But I was down there.
That's how you got the role.
That's how I got the role. He's like, "Let's keep this guy." I was only supposed to be there for a day, but I
Right.
ended up milking
like,
2 weeks.
He's like, let's see what that set of lips does.
Let's see what those lips do.
You're tall. Let's get down here.
Yeah. I think that's why everybody started gravitating towards me. They were like, "Okay,
This guy's a
what's this guy
kisser.
got going on?
This guy's the set
What
kisser."
does he know?"
Okay, so
That was your question?
no. That was actually a question I wrote down yesterday for fun. I was like, "Did you kiss Christoph Waltz?"
What
And
do
then I
you
deleted
think-
it.
What do you think?
So I was like, "Obviously, you kissed Christoph Waltz. Why would I ask if you kissed Christoph Waltz?"
Obviously, bro. Like, stupid question every time. You think I'm gonna work with the guy for 2 weeks and not fuck her up?
I kiss everyone I work with.
Yeah, it's just
Craft
it's like
services.
a respect thing.
It's a
Like,
respect.
you went in for the handshake and I grabbed cheeks.
I grab cheeks and I grab cheeks.
Where you see yourself in the film industry in the future? You know what I mean? It's a tough question, but like if you could see yourself in any role, whether it's acting, directing, writing, producing, where do you see yourself?
Mm. That's tough. I go back and forth with myself quite often on that.
Because I know you enjoy like every aspect of it.
I do, and I go through phases where I'm more inspired in a certain aspect than another. Like I've spent a year of my life like writing scripts and like really enjoying it and and like convinced that like this was what I was gonna do. I wasn't gonna act anymore.
Can I just touch on that quick?
Yeah.
Why do you enjoy writing so much, and what's your motivation for it? Like where do these ideas come from? Do you? I think I know a little bit about your motivation. Like I'll let you speak on it, but do you feel like it's a bit easier, or is it the creative control?
That's actually interesting that you said easier. So I guess like a little bit of context. When I started acting, I was really enjoying it, but there was an anxiety element for me where it was tough for me to be on set and just deal with certain situations. It was just like anxiety inducing, and I'm thankful now that I don't really deal with that. But when starting out acting, it was tough, and honestly, it kind of pushed me away from acting a bit more. But I still really loved the industry. But I was like, I just I found something that I could crutch on more and have more control, which was sitting in my room on the page. I'm not really dealing with anxiety when I'm in my room writing. And like you said, yeah, I have the control, and I was able to allow my imagination to open up where as I'm writing, and I feel like a lot of creatives and writers can like feel this, like you're there, like as you're writing the movie, you're in the movie. So you're visualizing it all. You're getting that kind of
you're getting that performance without being in front of all these people.
Yeah.
Just in your room, you get to dive into a story, you get to dive into a character.
Yeah, and it feels like very real. And for me, there was like one pilot script I was working on specifically, like a crime drama. I was able to get really into it, and it was kind of cathartic, and I was able to like,
What was that called, and what was it about?
what was it called? It
Did you
was
have a title?
Safekeeping.
Safekeeping.
Safekeeping. Yeah,
What was it
it's
about? Give us a little bit.
a story about um, hmm, a story about a drug addicted homeless teen and his kind of group of friends and how they operate
Mm-hmm.
through the city, kind of based in Toronto, and what they do to survive and how they go about living their lives. It was really an ensemble. At the heart of it, it was about the protagonist character, Nathan, trying to gain back custody and get his little brother back into his life, who was
Mm-hmm.
in a not so nice foster home situation. So that was at the heart of it, him trying to get his family back into his life, but really he's in no position to because he's addicted to certain drugs and he has no shelter, no job. So it was kind of a big story, but I think
That's interesting. It's cool. It's cool when you can like just hearing that like you feel empathy for like a villainous character.
mhm,
I think that's very like intriguing to the audience.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So I was able to pull like I was lucky enough, not lucky enough, whatever. I was able to put my own
Mm.
like personal insights and emotions into it. So it was very cathartic, and I didn't have to deal with the stress inducing anxiety
Mm-hmm.
of being on set and having like 100 people around and that sort of thing. So I found myself like really crutching into that. But as my mental health got better, just in general, I've found myself like being more eager to be on set. I think I'd be able to be a better actor because I'd be able to just be on set. Like acting is acting, but a big part of acting is like stamina, which I like respect you a lot for. Is like you have great. It's like a different type of stamina. It's like not cardio. Like you have to be able to be on a set for 16 hours with maybe
It's a
not a lot of sleep, maybe not a lot of food. You have to be able to kind of go with the wind, and a lot of people can't do that. And I was in a position where I wasn't really that capable of doing that. I could do it. I could get through the day, but it was enough anxiety where I was like, okay, I need to step away because it's a lot. Because
mm-hmm.
to be at the beck and call of someone else for 16 hours, you don't really know what's going on all the time, and when you're with all these new people, it can be a lot. Um, so it does take a specific like outside of being able to act, you also have to have this like conditioning to be on set for 16 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now I'm at a spot where I think would be a lot more capable of doing
Mm-hmm.
that to get back on set. Whether it's directing, acting, whatever, I still love writing. And to answer your question initially, where do I see myself in the future? Um, I don't know. It's tough. I see myself honestly writing, producing, directing, and acting like in my own projects and pitching films to studios, getting those made. Um, kind of doing it all. But I would say I am more eager to get back on set and act and
Nice.
realize I'm not great at it and get better at it.
Nice.
I threw a lot at you there.
No, no, I like it's you got to take care of yourself before you can do it. Like if you're like you were saying about the stamina thing about being on set, like yeah, it's acting and like if you get to be an actor like full time, like it's a blessing. Like you should be grateful because it is an easy job compared to like what a lot of people do, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Like Denzel Washington always says like a garbage man is that's a tough job, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stuff like that's a tough job. So like you can't complain if you get the opportunity to be an actor,
Mm-hmm.
but it is exhausting, you know what I mean? Like it is probably more mentally exhausting than physically exhausting, but like if you're like in our position trying to make it as an actor, you're not an A-list actor or you're not at that level. It's a grind, you know what I mean? Like you don't meal prep, forget about it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to do that. You know what I mean? Like whenever I'm on set or I'm working for a certain amount of time, my diet's gone. Like it's just
Yeah.
like I'll eat when I can and I'll eat whatever's there
Mm-hmm.
because like you don't you don't you don't get to have that schedule. Like you don't get the freedom for that and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like long days, long hours and mentally exhausting because you're constantly just working on your character, you're working on your lines, you're working on the work, you know, you're doing the work and it's
Mm-hmm.
if your mental health isn't there, yeah, you got to step back. Like that's it's if you're not level-headed then it's just not going to be a good day for you.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years in the industry?
5 years in the industry, I see myself, if I'm fortunate enough to be being an actor full time, just being able to take on different and new characters and challenge myself to get better, whether it's TV shows, movies. Um, I'd really like to get back into the theater, which I've been trying to do. Um, and I just want to be a versatile actor. I want to be, I want to do it all, you know? Like I want to do TV shows, I want to do movies, I would love to be on Broadway. I'd love to be, yeah, just in the theater and just doing whatever I can at the highest level I can and constantly just learn and grow. And I would also like to be financially okay and happy and secure, you know, and have a good family life and make sure that there's a good balance between work, my life, and my family. And yeah.
How do you wrap your head around the financial instability of being an actor, especially an upcoming actor, when there's not guaranteed jobs and there's not guaranteed paychecks? What's the kind of talk you give yourself? Is it, would you say it's delusion? Is it optimism? Is it realism? Like, how do you get yourself to a place where you don't go kind of stir crazy and like not knowing where your paycheck's coming from?
I mean, some people won't agree with it, but I stay away from being realistic. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know, I just choose to be optimistic. And I just believe in myself and I believe in doing the work. And if I'm working hard enough and I'm studying, the opportunities will come. So as long as I'm training and I'm doing all the right steps to make sure that if that opportunity comes that I capitalize on it, and also just doing whatever I can in general to create opportunities so that possibly it might come sooner. But just being optimistic and manifesting my situation and just working hard is what I see. I don't see myself not doing it. I see myself acting for the rest of my life. And
So that makes it a pretty easy decision.
that's it
And
in
it's
the
like
story.
there's not really a alternative.
No, there's no plan B. It's we'll figure it out and we'll do it.
That's what you need.
This is just another kind of fun one. But I know you mentioned you love John Bernthal. You love Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Is there a performance? Is there a performance that you've seen recently or in the past that has just stuck with you to this day that you believe to be just an insane performance, you know?
Oh, dude.
If you could pick one, it's tough, you know what I mean? But usually sometimes there's just one that sticks out to you. And it doesn't have to be like your all-time favorite, you know what I mean? It
Right.
could just be one that pops into your head right now that you've seen recently that you were like, yeah,
Right.
that was good, you know? It doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's your favorite.
Yeah, because you said my boy Johnny B.
Mm-hmm.
I would say in the movie Fury, which ironically actually has John Bernthal and Shia LaBeouf
Mm-hmm.
in it. Coincidence.
I
But
think not.
there's a scene where they're all in the tank together.
Yeah.
Or
Great scene.
yeah, not that scene, not
Okay.
not that scene. There's
Sorry.
a scene. I actually think it's a cut scene. I'm not sure, but it's a scene between Brad Pitt's character and John Bernthal. And John is I forget his character's name, so I'm just gonna call him John, and we're
Mhm.
close like that. But he's just he's expressing his fear and the kind of shame he feels towards being fearful and scared in the situation they're in this war in this tank, and it was quite vulnerable, and I appreciate that. I think a reason like I gravitate towards those two actors, among others, but those two really at the top of the list is the vulnerability,
The rawness.
the rawness. Like it's nice to see. It's like you kind
Very,
of
very, very masculine people
yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. They're
but
like
able to be such an open book.
yeah, yeah, which is not you don't see that a lot, and
No.
it's like in real life or in movies. I would say like, or maybe they're just able to convey it in a really honest way where like I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why I really like them because I believe them, and I think they believe themselves too. And there's obviously they are acting, but I think a lot of it isn't acting for them, and they're really like kind of taking off like
They're disarming
cutting yeah,
themselves.
yeah, they're like
It's like high school again, you know, like
yeah,
trying to be the cool guy, but underneath,
yeah,
if you can open up and let that out, it's
yeah. So I would say that scene for me. It's
very nice.
a bit of a tearjerker sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get you.
What about you? What would you say
Keep the
is
tissues.
one of your all-time favorite performances in a film or TV show?
Mm. I mean, like we said, like there's a few.
You
There's a
can't
f-
use Johnny B or Shia.
I can't use Johnny B or Shia LaBeouf. Okay,
Um,
well, I, oh man, like maybe the people that were at the dinner table with me, um,
Timothy.
Daniel Day
Daniel,
Lewis,
yeah.
um, the scene in the church.
I've abandoned my
I've
child.
abandoned my child.
My child.
I've abandoned my boy. Yeah, Daniel Day Lewis, his performances just they always stand out to me. Timothy Chalamet, um, Pretty Woman,
Mm-hmm.
confessing his love to, um, can't remember her name, Sasha.
I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say Daniel Day Lewis performance in pretty much any movie.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet, Pretty Woman, Beautiful Boy, the diner scene.
Yeah, that's tough.
That one will always stick out to me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever worked with anyone on set and been reminded of any actors or actresses that you admire? Like have you
Because
ever
of their style of acting?
because of their style or their swag or their personality? Like, have you ever like it could be an easy no, but I'm just curious because you've been on a lot of sets with a lot of up and coming talent, and yeah, I'm just curious.
No, none that really like stuck out to me. None in comparison to A-list stars that we watch today,
Mm.
which I think is a good thing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't think you want to be compared. I think you want to create your own lane. So, in my opinion, good for them
Mm.
because, like, yeah, you want to create your own lane. You don't want to be compared to another actor. And, but one person who I have worked with twice that I think is a phenomenal actress is Trinity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trinity Lloyd. Um, we worked together on 2 separate York films. She's just always in it, you
Mhm.
know? And I think she comes from more of a theater background. And it's just easy. It's easy to act opposite of someone who's like committed.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy working with her. But how about yourself? Anybody that you've worked with that just like sticks to you like, oh, this guy kind of looks like this or acts like this or his styles?
To be honest, I've done like a quarter of the films acting wise that you've done, so my sample pool is smaller, and I don't think so off the top of my head. I've definitely had moments where I was like compared situations or like behind the scenes set situations to things I've seen online.
Mm-hmm.
There was like an hour and a half BTS documentary of the Social Network that I watched, and I've been in situations where I was like, oh, this felt like that moment, or just seeing like the way crews operate,
Mm.
which is cool. But as far as like actors resembling people that I've worked with, no, I can't say.
I've got a different one for you. I've had times on set where I've been doing a scene,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the way that I read it, but it's just the way that it comes out, being in the moment, where it just flows so nicely that it's like, oh, I'm in this movie. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Like I had a
Mm-hmm.
scene one time where I was in the school hallway and I'm meeting back up with my friends who I crossed the line with before,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just such flowy dialogue that it felt like I was like, oh, I'm in Gossip Girl right now or something, you know, or I'm
Yeah.
like I'm in a different movie,
Yeah.
and it just felt like that couldn't have flowed any nicer,
That's awesome.
in like a good way, but it just like sometimes you just get those lines where it's just it puts you in a different movie.
How much of that do you think was to do with the writing versus like the setting of being in a school and having the production value of being in a school?
Writing is so important.
Yeah.
I like writing is like the most important thing. So yeah, we had a fantastic writer that wrote that. Writing is super important. I think it's arguably okay. Well, I wouldn't say the most important, but it's one of
Well,
the
without the
most
script, like you're not on set, right?
exactly. But I mean, writing and directing is writing, directing, and acting are I think the three most important parts. But more so, writing and directing is very hard to. It's very hard to make the words come off the page nicely if the writing isn't good.
Yeah.
You know, I've acted in a lot of films that have not the best writing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's your performance just it doesn't. It's no matter what you do,
I've
it
also done.
doesn't come out nicely.
Yeah, I've also done a lot of self tapes with you where the writing's been really bad and
Mm-hmm.
it's been tough to get through an audition. Where like sitting there reading the sides, like
Mm-hmm.
how do you turn this around? And we'll do like 12 takes and we'll look at each other and just kind of shrug our shoulders like it
Yeah,
doesn't, there's not much more you can do with it, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Granted, like there's been times where we've done auditions and the writing's been really good and it flows, and like you can
Yeah,
remember like a couple of those, right? Like three of those off the top of my head, but a lot of them is
yeah.
like we're like, whoa.
Well, that's the thing too with like memorization.
Yeah.
If you have good writing, you read that thing a couple
Mm-hmm.
times and it's just in your head. You
Yeah.
know, like you can. It's so much easier.
Yeah.
But if you have a shitty script, like it, you gotta program it in there. Like
Yeah.
it's not easy to memorize.
And to be fair, like a lot of those things we were auditioning for where the writing wasn't great are non-union projects, student projects.
Mm-hmm.
So to like everyone's credit, everyone's trying to get better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not the best actor in the world or the best that you could be. You know, you're like
Mm-hmm.
constantly getting better.
Yeah, most of the time these guys are in film school to make films. They're not there for the writing aspect.
True,
So
true.
maybe they just need to slap something together so
Yeah.
they can make a film, and you got to do your best to bring it to life. But sometimes it's hard, and sometimes, I mean, at this level, at least you can try out some improv.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, move some stuff around if you can, and not upset anybody, but make
Mm-hmm.
it to where you think you can play it true.
Mm-hmm. What was it like doing improv classes at Second City?
I loved it. I find that improv comes a bit easier to me just because of my upbringing with like friends and family and an older brother who just kind of like pushes you around in a playful way, but it's like if you're not quick on your feet, like you're done for,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So you kind of have to be quick on your feet. My growing up in that environment though, like my improv can come across as mean. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I've noticed just naturally, like if you're coming at me in a situation, I'm going to come at you 10 times harder,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But that's just because of my upbringing. So it comes natural to me in that way. But I think improv's super fun, and especially just even in filming and stuff like that, like there's going to be moments and stuff where you need to be quick on your feet and you need to be able to think of something, and sometimes it works out, like could change the complete direction of the film or the
Mm-hmm.
vision or the roadblock, you know. And even on Monday when we were filming, um, there was one scene where the scene ended and there was a little bit of a pause, and I just kind of went on a tangent for like 30 seconds, and they were like, "That's great, like we're keeping that." And then I had to keep doing it though.
What were the
I
what?
kind of regretted it because I was
Yeah.
like, now we got to do everybody else's close ups, and we got to do it for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Were the actors good in like playing along in that scenario where you went off for 30 seconds, or were they kind of looking at you like, because that was your coverage then, right?
it was my coverage, and they were good at playing along, and they didn't they didn't need to improv back.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just more or less of just like the scene. The scene needed something at the end to tie it together,
Mm-hmm.
and it just so happened to hit me, and I threw it out there and it stuck.
Anyone who stuck around this far, appreciate it. We're planning on shooting and putting out episodes weekly. Talk about the film industry, what we're doing, and everything else in between. Probably what we had for dinner the night before, because sometimes we cook it
Mm-hmm.
up pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but
Shane
yeah,
Gillis packs a lunch,
Shane Gillis packs
but
lunch.
we do cook it up pretty good.
We do cook it up
So
pretty
we
good.
will be covering a lot of just our experience and tips and tricks to help you guys in the film industry, but also just having fun with what's going on in film today and
Mm-hmm.
and in entertainment.
Maybe we have some guests.
Maybe we have
Maybe
some
we
guests.
are the guests every episode.
No, we definitely have some ideas for some guests.
Yeah,
And
like our moms.